Hi guys, it's Ru the tutor here. Today I'll be taking you through a step-by-step guide on how to carry out long division operations. Please keep these steps in mind when dividing multi-digit numbers. So today I'm just going to teach you how to divide multi-digit numbers, and that will be the sum of the lesson for today. Okay, so without any further ado, let's jump into it. So for our first question, we will be dividing 3 into 84. Okay, so how do we do this? First, we take the divisor, then we try and we divide it into the first number, which is 8. Then we find that we can divide our divisor into 8 twice. So then we carry the 2 to the top. Then we multiply. That's our second step. So we multiply our 2 by 3, then we get 6. Then for our third step, we just subtract. So we subtract the product of what we've multiplied, which is 2 by 3. So what we've carried to the top by our original divisor, which was 6. So and then that we subtract the 8 from the 6 to get a 2. Then we bring down the next number from the number that we've just carried out the operation of dividing and subtracting. Okay, that would be 4 in this case because that's the other half of 84. So the number at the bottom then becomes 24. Then we repeat step 1, 2, and 3. So how do we do this? First, we divide. We divide 3 into 24, then we get 8. Then we multiply. We multiply 3 by 8 to get 24. Then we subtract, which is our step number 3 when we're carrying out the repetition. So we'll say 24 minus 24 to get a 0. So from this, if we carry out these operations, that is how we find what the answer is if we divide 3 into 84. Okay, so these steps are very basic. So my first example is a very basic example of how to carry out long division. So for other examples, you'll find for our last operation, our last subtraction operation, where we are saying 24 minus 24, any number that we get here that is less than our divisor is our remainder. This will make sense as we go through the examples and you can actually see this in action. But for now, please just quickly go through the question and try and see if you're grasping what I'm trying to explain. Okay, without any further ado, let's move on to our second example. So for our second example, we will be dividing 13 by 845. Okay, so the objective here would be first to try and divide 13 by 8, and then we find that that doesn't work. So then we move on to the number next to 8, which is 4. Then we say 13 divided by 8, 84. So we need to find the quotient of 13 divided by 84 so that we can carry that to the top. So we can first try dividing, first maybe try by finding what is the number when we multiply 13 by 5. Then we find that it's 65. Then if we multiply 13 by 6, we find that that's 78. That's still below 84. Then we can try again, 13 by 7. Then we find 91. So we realize we can use 6 because 13 by 6 is 78. So when we're dividing, we can, so when we need to divide 13 by 84, we can, and we'll get a quotient of 6. Okay, and a remainder of 6. But in this case, we only carry the quotient. Okay, so we divide. So when we divide 13 by 84, we get 6. So that's our first step. Then our second step, we multiply. We multiply 6 by 13. I've already mentioned that that's 78. So then we write 78. Then we move on to our third step. We subtract. If we subtract 84 from 78, we get 6. Right? And then after that, we carry out step number 4, which is bringing down. So we bring down the 5. And then I think I mentioned in the beginning that if you multiply 13 by 5, you'll get 65. Therefore, if you divide 13 by 65, you'll also get 5. Right? And then we carry out which would be our second step. Then we carry out our third step, would be subtracting. Then we subtract 65 from 65. Then we get 0. So our remainder is 0, meaning that 8 845 divided by 18 is equal to 65 with no remainder. So here I'm just trying to show you the operation. So now we've used both. We've used a larger number, so we've divided by a number that's in the tens. So I'm just trying to give you wider range on how we carry out the operation. So let's move into another example. So for this example, we'll be dividing 4 into 59. So it's kind of similar to the first one. So you guys should be able to have an idea of how to do this. But anyhow, let me go through it. So for our first step, we will divide. So if we divide 4 into 5, we get a quotient of 1. Then we multiply that quotient by 4, which is our second step. Then we get 4, because 4 times 1 is equal to 4. Then we subtract 5 from 4. Then we get 1. Then we bring down the 19. Then after bringing down the 19, we repeat step number 1, where we divide 4 into 19. So 4 divided into 19, we will get 4 and a remainder of 3. So we write the 4, which is our quotient. Then we multiply again 4 by 4 to get 16. Then we say 19 minus 16, which is our third step where we subtract. Then we get 3. 3 is a smaller number than 4, therefore 3 is a remainder. So after carrying out all these operations, we find that 59 divided by 4 is equal to 14, remainder 3. So that is how you work out 4 divided by 59. So please just take a few seconds to soak that in and quickly go through the steps. And then we can move on to our last example. Okay, so we are almost at the end of our first lesson. Thank you for making it this far. I appreciate it. Let's get into our last example. So for our last example, we will be dividing 12 by 5,496. So this is a bit tricky. So save the best for last. So first, we will try and divide 12 by 54. So we have to find a quotient that we can use. So first, if you divide 12, if you multiply 12 by 5, you'll get 60. 60 is too large, so we can't use it. So the next number would be 4. So now we divide 12 into 54. We know that the answer will most probably be 4 because that's the next number after 5. So when we divide 12 into 54, we'll get 4 and a remainder of 6. But of course, we're only focused on the quotient. So then we multiply, which is our second step. We multiply 4 by 12, we will get 48. Then we subtract 54 by 48, and then we will get 6. And then we'll bring down the 9. And then when we bring down the 9, we'll get 69. Then we go back to step number 1, we divide. We divide 12 by 69. And as I mentioned in the beginning, we already know that 12 divided by 69, 12 into 69 will only go 5 times, because we know 12 times 5 is equal to 60. So then when we divide 12 into 69, we'll get a quotient of 5. Then we multiply our 5 by 12 to get 60. Then we subtract again. So then we are subtracting 69 from 60, and then we will get 9. Then we will bring down the 6, which will be repeating step number 4. So then we carry out the steps all over again. So step number 5 is just repeating everything again. So then we divide 12 into 96. Apologies, into 96, pardon me. And then what we will get is 8. Then we multiply 8 by 12. Then we'll get 96. Then we'll subtract 96 from 96. And that will give us a 0. So there is no remainder. So from this, it is clear that 5,496 divided by 12 is equal to 458. This one is a bit tricky. So, take your time, go through it. So I'll just give you a moment to go through it. Just take your time, go through it, and try and see if you can follow the steps that I've outlined. Okay, so that is all for today. Finally, I have a worksheet. So I would like you guys to go through this worksheet. So find the quotient and the remainder for all these questions. So this will give you a lot of practice and you'll be able to always just refer to the steps that I've gone through that are, throughout each example at the top. And then you can just quickly come back and see if you can use the concepts down here to be able to complete the worksheet. Thank you so much, guys. I hope to see you in the next lesson. But for today, I think we'll end it here. So when you get the time, go through go through the whole lesson and then try and attempt the worksheet. Don't try and attempt the worksheet right now. Please first go through all the examples. Once you've grasped them, attempt the worksheet. If you struggle, you can always just go back to the examples and then come back after you find out where you're going wrong and try and work the kinks out. Thank you so much, guys. Rue the Tutor, signing off.